like you guys are. In fact, I came out to this meeting, I sat right where you're at, right there, right? I was overwhelmed, I was excited, I was nervous. And at some point during the presentation, I had a huge light bulb moment. I looked up and I said, that thing that he's teaching me right there, I can do that. And that will change my life. And I want you guys to have that light bulb moment too. So in order for that to happen, guys, do me a favor. If you have a cell phone, please turn it to silent or vibrate. If you do need to take a call, that's fine. Just step up, take it outside. The other thing is, this is going to be a safe place this year. We're all here because we want to be better investors. And so we are very strict on this. We have a policy of no networking. And what I mean by that, a lot of you have businesses. We have realtors in here, we have contractors, right? We want you to make friends with your neighbors. But please, no handing out of business cards or a cruise to your downline, right? And so guys, let's stick to focusing on this business. Guys, so no networking. Can we all agree on that? Okay. And the other thing is, we've done this presentation as a company thousands of times. We can structure this presentation anyway, but whatever question you have, it's probably the very next thing that we're going to talk about. So guys, when you have a question, write it down. Most of the time, when you write it down, you're going to cross it off for the next minute, because that's what he's going to talk about. So write your questions down. And if you do have a question, at the end of the section, our speaker is really good about addressing questions. So please hold off on asking questions while he is teaching, all right? That way we can keep on track with anything that goes on. And then one other thing, I have an uncle, and my uncle, he's a very interesting character. I will tell you this, he has an opinion about everything. And we had a family reunion a few months ago, and he came up to me and he said, Steve, what are you doing now? What are you doing for work? And I said, this is my Uncle Fred. And I said, Fred, I'm doing the exact same thing I've done for 30 years. I tell you about it every couple of years when I see it. I do real estate and I'm an active investor, right? And he said, well, tell me about your investment. And I said, I invest in properties, I invest in the stock market. And then I said, I invest in tax liens and deeds. And he said, liens and deeds? I heard about those. Those don't work. And I said, well, have you ever done one before? And he said, no, but they don't work, right? Which is a height of ignorance. And so, guys, let's not have any Uncle Freds this week, right? Let's be positive, okay? Because I believe that we grow and we learn and progress much better when we're positive. A lot of you have somebody negative in your life. In fact, unfortunately, most of the most negative people in your life are probably who?
Family.
Those closest to you. In fact, who's sitting next to that person today? Anybody want to raise their hand? So guys, let's be positive as we go throughout this week. So with that said, let me tell you about our presenter. He is one of my favorite people for a couple of reasons. First off, he's from Dallas, so he knows this market extremely well. He invests actively in Texas. But his story is incredibly unique. He worked for the LAPD. He was a cop in South Central LA, working in gangs and narcotics units in some of the roughest areas of the country. He was making hardly anything. Do we have any former police officers in here? Anybody? Okay. You are? Absolutely. Yeah, awesome. And you know what? It's a lot of work and not a ton of money, right? And so Brian, his wife, wanted more for their family. They had some young kids, and she said, we're going to go to a seminar, and we're going to learn how to become investors. So she brought him out kicking and screaming. They came to the seminar, and she was on fire. She said, we're doing this. We're changing our lives. Because the number one reason, she didn't want him to get shot at work, right? And so they went through the training. And this was 14 years ago? 10 years ago. Just 10 short years ago, guys. And at this point, he is one of the preeminent experts on tax lien and deed investing. He has a lot of skills. But guys, he's not going to be necessarily your friend. The difference between a friend and a teacher is a friend tells you what you want to hear. A teacher tells you what you need to hear, right? And so you're going to love him. He's one of the preeminent experts in the entire country. But in my opinion, Brian's greatest skill, bar none, is teaching beginners and amateurs how to start creating cash flow very quickly using real estate names and deeds. So guys, please help me in welcoming our speaker, Mr. Brian Siegel.
Preeminent expert. Yeah, I'm not a preeminent expert. I do have some experience. It's funny, I went home one time, told my wife, Steve told everybody at the event that I am the preeminent premier expert in this. I mean, first responders, they're like, no, we're not. See, my wife was like, that's really interesting. You pulled the clothes, let's get on with this. So it's a pleasure being with you guys. It's a pleasure being with you guys here today. The reason why I'm saying 14, I started in 2014. I came to this class. It was more real estate focused at the time. How many of you guys, anybody in here flip houses by experience? Yeah? Good, good. Any wholesalers? Sign of contracts? No? Okay. So I was a big real estate flipper. Like when I started, my wife and I were super HGTV fans. What do you want? What do you think? What do you want?
Does everyone have their car keys? It's a trick question because I have them in my hands. So someone
Is it a Mercedes? Yeah, they're good. So Mercedes Jeep. You talking IRS since the line? So when I started here, I was a police officer. I love what I did. I was 10 years as a police officer. I'll give you guys my story a little bit later on because this week is a little bit about me, but I did want you guys to know that. So when we started, my wife and I, we were super HGTV fanboys. Anybody in HGTV? Yeah? It's all real. Everything on the show. Yeah. And so we wanted to flip houses. We had no money. So we came to class, we started learning this stuff, and we had some success under our belt. What I'm going to walk you guys through this weekend, what I'm going to show you guys, is how to get started in this business with little to no money, or if you have a lot of money, how to position that money in a way where you don't need to pay taxes on it, and security against real property with a state mandated return. I get a little bit of a mixture of people that come into this class. I get some that are starting with, like myself, with absolutely nothing, and they're like, I got $5. What kind of lien can I buy for $5? And you can buy a lien for $5. You guys know that? You can secure a $5 lien against the property. Now, if you make a redemption on that $5, it might be 83 cents return, but it's still a return, right? And it's probably going to be more than what you're currently making in your bank account. Okay? The national average right now in savings account of interest earned is 0.475 annually. Okay? If you look at the rate of inflation, so if you're one of those, who in here loves to save your money? Anybody like to save money? Remember, this is a safe place. Yeah, we love saving money. I used to love saving money too. So somebody asked me one day, one of my business mentors, said, why are you trying to save something in print every day? And I'm like, well, why do you ask that kind of question? And I didn't know the answer. But what he told me was pretty interesting. We save our money because the way that we got it was by exchanging our time. It's not paying you for what you're actually working. When I left the police department, where I actually got into this real estate game, I started making more money. I moved my cat and said, you said I was worth this much, but look at my bank account. And so what's amazing is we're going to go through step by step different skill sets and knowledge that you all need to learn in this business to start increasing your wealth. But who does that ultimately depend on?
Yourself.
It depends on you. Okay? It depends on the action that you guys take. Because you can spend your weekend here with us, and I will do my best to make you laugh and keep us entertained, which I promise I will. But if you leave here this weekend and don't do anything afterwards, you go to the same condition that you came from, same house, same job, same cubicle, and you don't change your behavior, the next year is going to be like a class. Guaranteed. Does that make sense, everybody? So this weekend is about taking action. This weekend I am going to give you guys homework. I'm going to give you guys assignments. And as much as you all are sizing us up right now to see if we are legit investors to actually do this, we are also sizing all of you up as well. And depending on what you do, what we tell you, will tell us if you guys are coachable or if you're not. And we will be very frank and upfront with you. Brian Peterson, when he asked me to come out and speak and do this whole thing, I told him no. Called me up at the beginning here, he's like, hey, man, we got a lot of people sign up for these classes, can you come out and help them out? You've been doing this, like, you have a good system in place. You know how to talk to people, would you mind? And I said, yeah, actually I do mind. I don't want to do it. And he he was like, what do I gotta pay? And I'm like, you don't have enough. So then he called my wife. I'm super excited to be here with you guys this weekend. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Well, where is she?
And so my wife is north in about 4 hours. We retired during COVID. So COVID was actually a blessing and a curse. Taught us a lot, but also taught the county a lot of things as well. How many of you have ever been to a live auction? Anybody? Good. Excellent. So you guys have been to the county courthouse and the steps, and you've done that whole thing. Well, what happened during COVID is that live auction stopped, and the counties could not sell their taxes anymore. They could not sell it to the investors. So what we saw from COVID is a lot of these counties, if not the majority, have all decided to come online. I do my entire business only online. I sit in my house, or I sit on a beach, I open up that laptop, I connect to the Wi-Fi, and I buy leans or I buy keys. And I will walk you guys through this afternoon. We get into the website. So I'm going to log into my website. I'm going to open up the auctions. New Jersey has a slew of auctions going on right now. Now, New Jersey's pretty interesting, and we'll talk about New Jersey because the auction is coming up. You guys, we're in the beginning of October, right? So 3 weeks from now, your homework, when you leave this weekend, there's a 21-day quick start on your phase 1 of our website. And trust me, I will walk you through all of this several times. Because Monday's going to come around, you're going to get your login, you're going to get your website, and you're like, what the hell am I looking at? So I'm going to walk you through this, okay, bless you. But you have homework when you leave here this weekend. It's a 21-day quick start, which essentially gives you every single day something to do in correspondence with the action plan that we're going to give you this weekend. You register online and ready to participate in your first auction 3 weeks from now. Now, some of you are going to be like me and say, just give me the login right now and participate. Okay? But what I want to warn you about, we get this a lot, you due diligence on finding, what's up for sale. So do this, let you come let me, myself, or one, will let you, and we'll give you a full refund, you're free to go, you don't need to come back tomorrow. Is that fair? Okay, so let's get through today. Bless you. The biggest thing is, one, we don't want you to be allergic to us. I'm very sorry about that. But two, if I don't want you going through this entire weekend if at the end of the day you're like, this really doesn't fit the bill for me. Because what ends up happening is anybody that writes, and it just is a cancer to everybody else in the class. Because all you're doing is making excuses for yourself why this doesn't work, and you try to get validation from everybody else in the class. Does that make sense? So let's get through today. If you feel at the end of today it's not for you, cool, not a problem. Let's get back to money and free to go. When it comes to the advanced training is not for everybody. So what we're going to do today is we want to know who you are, what your goals are, what you're starting with, what your risks are. Some of you in here might have $1 million, but you only want to start with $1,000. Does that make sense? Some of you might not have $1 million, but you got 1,000, but you want to start with 500 because that's your risk. Does that make sense? So I have a goal sheet that's going to go out here in a second. And we're going to basically, you guys will fill this out to the best of your knowledge. What are your goals? What are you starting with? What do you have access to? A lot of these questions are going to be about what's your credit score look like? We're going to show you how to raise capital in your business and ways that you can start going to these auctions. I don't know if you guys know this, but to buy a tax lien, it takes money. Okay? I'm serious because I had people in this class before, they're like, I'm super motivated. I'm like, the county doesn't accept motivation. Sorry.
Footstep.
It says pity move.
Why did you bring me?
One of it says money. Okay, you gotta put in a deposit. So we want to help you guys understand that money actually does grow on trees
I think go sleep.
and where to actually plant those seeds to grow. Is that okay?
Yeah.
With the advanced training, as we give you guys some of these assignments and we give you guys things to do, if you don't do them because you just feel you're that good, in all honesty, advanced training, us holding your hand and helping you and stuff like that, it's not going to be for you. Because what Brian Peterson doesn't want to do, and what he told all of us as a team not to do, is to help people through this business if we have to drag you through it. Does that make
Yes.
sense?
Drag specific.
Okay, this is on you, all right? Does real estate work, yes or no?
Yes.
You have to decide if it's work with you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I used to try to prove this to people, and now when people come to me and they're like, what do you do for a living? I'm like, I'm kind of dabbling in some real estate, I never really kind of thumbs up, but I'm a real estate investor. I'm like, real estate, that doesn't work. I'm like, yeah, it's true, it doesn't. So,
Yeah.
I don't know why I do that.
Yeah.
Like, I literally, people tell me that, listen, taxis don't work, I'm like, you're right. You should never, you don't do it.
Stay away.
Because it's pointless, does that make sense?
Mhm.
So, again, we'll go through some of the education, and we'll go through the business model here in a second. So I'll talk to you a little bit more about it, okay? Yes? Yeah, the app, you can access on the mobile, we don't recommend it on a phone. We recommend it on an iPad or on a laptop, just because of the way the counties are set up and kind of laid out. You're able to see a lot better, you're able to navigate a lot better, but you are able to access it on your phone. That's okay, you're gonna be in business at the end of this weekend, and so that's just a write-off. You have no benefits as a human being in this world of economics. Now, in the world of your community, your church, your family, all that other stuff, all the equity in the world, but when we talk about money, zero benefits. I keep saying I'm gonna write a book, I'm never gonna write it, but I do have a title. Stop being a human being, okay? And I mean this, because you guys are taxed way too much. You're taxed 40%. Minimum. And what's crazy is my parents used to have to write the IRS a check from their paycheck, and then the IRS got smart. You don't trust with your money, period. So we're just gonna take it from you. Thus we started saying after taxes. Okay? You have no benefit. So when you leave, you incorporate your laptop, it's part of your startup costs, just right out. Get a new laptop, get a new phone, write off 25% of your house. Make sure you guys take advantage of the Augusta tax, even in your personal residence, 14 days. Guys, on the tax side of things, I've gone down plenty of rabbit holes, and I'm gonna go, it's pretty advanced stuff that I'm gonna talk to you guys about. Okay? But some of you are gonna ask me these questions, and I'm gonna literally refer you to Sunday. So I'm just gonna tell you that's a great Sunday question. Okay? Because we gotta get through this first part. Okay? Now, the next 3 days, expectations. You guys are all gonna be experts by the end of the 3 days, yes?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Woo! Just real quick. When have any of you, by chance, because I want to know how, have ever become an expert in anything in 3 days? Okay. Thus, I've asked you guys to commit for the next 6 months to 12 months with business. I promise the next 3 days, you're going to leave here forgetting your name. You're going to wake up on Monday.
What's my
and
name?
you're going to say, where am I? And who am I? And not even why am I?
We do that every day.
Okay, this is a lot of information, and the way the counties work, the way the states work, every state, every county has different rules, different laws. It is the craziest thing.
Bring one.
The reason why though is because the United States did not become the United States all at once. Okay, if you guys go down a history lesson a little bit, your colonies, then they started forming states, and each state started forming their own rules and their own regs, all right? Now what's really cool is Tyler versus Heffernan is a lawsuit right now pending. And what's happening with this lawsuit, it's changing for the first time in like hundreds of years, this whole tax lien world, where now states that want to try to be like pompous and say, well, you can only buy a lien here. They can no longer do that. So there are more deed opportunities, real estate opportunities now, even in our lien states, which our lien states are now, depending on what happens with this lawsuit, are going to turn what we call a hybrid state. Go ahead and write that down. Hybrid state. A hybrid state is a state that sells both liens and deeds, kind of like Florida. And we're going to talk a lot about Florida because it's super easy to invest in, gives some of the highest rate of returns with the most guaranteed penalties against the liens. So in a hybrid state, they offer both liens and deeds year round. In a lien state, they only offer liens and that's it. And if you have a lien, like let's say in Colorado, or even New Jersey, well, Colorado and New Jersey have a 2-year redemption. At the end of the 2 years, if the homeowner does not redeem the lien from you, you can proceed towards a foreclosure on the property through the court system. There's no official auction. The homeowner will get a notice of foreclosure. The county will be very, very aggressive at this. I don't know if you guys have ever seen these letters before. I have. And it is like, we're going to take the kids, we're going to take the dog.
We're gonna take the dog.
We're taking everything from them. And if you were to obtain a property through a foreclosure process in Texas, you get it through the quicker. So if there was a mortgage on it, like taxes on it, it wipes everything out. So the homeowners will redeem, okay? And you won't take the property. And I'll be very, very afraid of this. In today's market, nobody is securing a property off of a lien sale. Okay, most liens are being redeemed. If you played in this game in 2008, 9, and 10, you wouldn't be sitting in this room right now. Okay? Because in 2008, 9, and 10, if you own tax liens against property, you were able to foreclose against those properties and get those properties free and clear for 1 to 2 years of back taxes. So thus, we are super excited for another crash. I can't wait. Alright? And by the end of this weekend, I hope you guys have the same mentality and same attitude. Most millionaires, multi-millionaires are created during a recession. They are not created in markets like what we're in right now. Okay?
That's true.
And so, if you go by liens, I want you guys to have a good realistic understanding that you will most likely not get the property. You will have your lien redeemed and you will make the interest on it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, when you go after deeds, that's straight property. Like if you win a deed, that's your property. A deed, cost of entry to a deed is a lot more, it's a lot higher than the cost of lien. And we're gonna get into that, but there's just so many different aspects to this that in 3 days, realistically, this is gonna give you the foundation. This is gonna give you the fundamentals. And then from here, we have additional training modules that we want you guys doing on Monday, Tuesday. You're gonna have additional training to continue down this road to become that expert. Does that make sense?
Let's go.
Okay, excellent. So realistically, we got 24 hours in the classroom. And this is essentially your opportunity. 50 states to play over 3,000 counties to work with. Okay? 50 states to play over 3,000 counties to work with. Now, let me give you one more housekeeping note. No picture taken of the slides. The reason for that, unfortunately, is because there's a bunch of copyright issues on this. You guys actually get all of this. So you don't have to worry, don't waste your camera roll. Now, there are a couple slides that are my slides, and I will tell you when to take those pictures because you do not get access to those in the training modules. Those are my slides that I created. So when those slides are up, I'll tell you to take a photo of that. Unfortunately, there's always one bad apple, right? We used to get slide by slide on a thumb drive at the end of the weekend, and somebody took the opportunity, branded it, and tried selling it online under their own name. So Brian Peterson's like, oh, copyright everything, no more taking, no more of this. But do understand in the additional training modules and the training stuff that you guys have, what I have up here on the slides is what you guys already have access to. Cool? Okay, one question? Not to the PowerPoint now. Not slide by slide, but what you guys see on the slide essentially is built off of the training modules that you guys have in that phase 1 of the training modules that you get on Monday. Okay? So everything, all these slides are built off those training modules. Okay? They just aren't as colorful as my slides. I like colors and I like pictures. Okay? I'm about as big of an idiot as you can think of. So really at the end of this weekend and stuff, you guys should look at me and say, if this guy can do it, you guys can do it. Okay, I promise you that. All right, so the next 3 days, let's go over the morning real quick. So in the morning, we're going to introduction to tax liens, important key terms to know and understand, understanding the tax lien process, how to stay safe when investing, money mindset and why it's important. This is one of my favorite segments because I literally perform an exorcism on your consumer money. And I always get some crazy reactions. I get somebody here that turns religious on me. You'll hear somebody off the corner be like, gee. You'll hear people like throwing up in their mouth. You hear a lot of, are you serious? Like, it's hilarious. I love this part. So we're going to go over money mindset, why it's important, and then defining the way. Okay? In the afternoon, we've got the redemption window, taxing and deed efficiency hack, marketplace, which is the actual website. That's where we're going to go and open the auctions. You can be able this month. State examples and laws, and then winning examples. Okay? So that's the way this first day is going to be outlined. So first morning half is going to be a lot of education, a lot of going through the rules, regulations, policies, how to get started. The afternoon is a lot of in the actual marketplace, analyzing deals and all that stuff. Okay? Now, get a fresh piece of paper out, draw a nice little circle. We are going to create a business plan. Okay? We're going to create a little business plan. You're going to draw a line down the middle, and then an X through that line. Do me another favor, at the top, I want to place the right my name. It's Brian with a Y. Last name is Siegel, S-E-G-A-L. No relation. The only celebrity relation I actually have is Bugsy Siegel, the guy that built Vegas, not Steven Seagal. So Brian Siegel, okay? I do that because I'm sure some of you, if you guys want, you can Google me at lunch, you can Google me tonight, you'll see who I am. I've posted everything and documented everything I've done since I started this business. You won't see much of me as a police officer because I try to stay out of the limelight there. But you'll be able to see everything else. I've had the fortunate opportunity now by being in this business to work with some pretty big people. Anybody here ever watch the show Shark Tank by chance?
I love it.
Yeah? Okay, excellent. So David John and Robert Hershevek, those are two sharks that I've worked with for the last 4 or 5 years. I traveled with Damon quite a bit to the US and with Robert. We do entrepreneur firesides. I also became one of David John's community leads that does all the due diligence on the businesses that he buys on the tank. What a lot of you don't know is there's a large portion of those businesses that he ends up securing that we end up canceling because they just lie about their numbers. You guys watched season, I think it was 11, in season 11, 10 or 11, you'll see the sharks blasting people that come on the show because we've got a lot of people just doing it for marketing purposes. And so you'll see O'Leary and Dan feel like you're fake, you don't even have a real business, you're just here for marketing. These are lifting people apart, okay? Because just like you guys see, when those people walk out of those doors, that's the first time those sharks are meeting them as well. First time they're being introduced to the business, they don't know anything about it, that's all legit. But what happens is a lot of these businesses are not legit. So what Damon used to teach all the time, what he still does, is first you have to learn, and then you can remove the L. And I was like, see, that's why you got a $15 billion company. Okay, boom, $15 billion. So education is number one in your business. Before you jump into any type of investments, before you jump into any type of business, you might want to educate yourself on it.
Yeah.
Right? We don't just wake up one day and be like, you know what, sure, let's just go buy a comic book. Because like, well, what does that look like, right? How do you get the franchising licensing on this? How much money do you need to open that up? Do I have any franchise business owners in here by chance? One? Do you mind me asking what franchise it is? Okay, is that like a restaurant site?
No, it's commercial.
Okay.
Commercial cleaning service.
A cleaning service? Okay. So my wife delved into a little bit of franchise stuff. She owned 2 UPS stores. And what she realized was she just bought herself a job. All the royalties, the licensing, all the stuff you have to pay for, and then employees you have to deal with and stuff. And so it can be difficult, but she had to educate herself before she went into that. Does that make sense? Before we got into real estate, we had to educate ourselves. Education is number one. And I am going to give you guys some books that you guys should have in your library throughout this weekend as well. Okay. Next is going to be, oops. Going to be on.
Family first.
Little terms right there. Next, I'm going to have to feed my daughter now. Passive income versus earned income. Okay, we need to have an understanding of in our business, do we want passive or do we want earned or do we want both? Okay, like I talked about tax liens, very passive. You want to buy a deed, secure deed property, you flip that deed because you love HGTV, that's going to be earned income. Okay, earned. I will talk a little bit about flipping houses, but my suggestion to you all, my counsel to you all this weekend, is try not to waste too much time doing a full HGTV flip right now in this market. Okay, you can go to a property, clean it, order a couple dumpsters, you literally clean it out and grease it and put it back on the market. You'll gain $30,000 next year. Don't even worry about too much money. After California, and I'll go a little bit deeper in my story after lunch, but after California, we sold everything out of California, moved to Illinois. So I lived in Naperville for about 7 years, Naperville, Illinois. We got to the point in our business out there, we took a real estate business out there because we moved for money out there, where we were basically buying 10 houses a month. Okay, so I was on average flipping about 100 houses a year. I employed over 250 people, and I about lost my damn mind. COVID, like I said, was an absolute blessing to us, even though we did lose some of our friends during COVID, but I basically retired. So COVID helped me retire and look at a whole lot different, and why everything I do now is all online. I do not go to these properties anymore, I have my own property management in place. I don't waste my time, okay? And that's my goal for you guys, to show you how to do that, all right? You can get to the point in this business, it's all on you, where you can spend 12 hours a month on this business and do just fine. I on average spend about 12 hours a month in my business now, and that's it. If I'm at 13, that's just overtime, and I don't wanna have to go through passive. Passive versus earned. Next is gonna be tools of a pro and expert advice. So I'm gonna show you the tools we use in our business. You guys are here this weekend because you're giving me expert advice. All right, now think about this real quick. You guys know that all this information I'm gonna teach you guys this weekend, you could have done it for free on the internet, right?
Correct.
Like you guys could get your degrees at YouTubeology, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. Like it's all out there. You guys understand? Everything I'm gonna teach you guys this week is all out there. So the question I always ask in classes is, why do we spend the money? What are some reasons why you spend the money?
Direction.
Well, that's-
Skills, it's real estate, make sure that you're investing your time.
Accountability? Okay, cool, I like that.
Doing what somebody's already done is way faster and more successful, following what they can and learning from home.
Speed? But is it easier if you guys learn from my mistakes or from your mistakes? If I can help you avoid a $1.3 million lawsuit, you want to know that?
Yes.
I think I know how to avoid a $1.3 million lawsuit. 2.5 years. Anybody been through a lawsuit for $1 million plus by chance? It's the greatest diet plan you'll ever go on. You'll drop weight quick. Yeah, I will on Sunday. Sunday I'll walk you through the lawsuit and how to avoid it. What else? So speed, accountability, structure. Yep, systematize the business. On top of that, guys, what's really cool about Brian, he actually gives you a bunch of Excel sheets to start your business. Tax lien tracker sheets, like evaluators. Essentially, he gives you a lot of the forms you need to get the business up and running. Yeah? The Excel sheets, I used to hate them because they were always too smart for me. I love them. Because that made me look smart.
Yes, I think you can't trust what you see online.
You cannot trust what you see online.
Yeah, and so this is like live, so it's more trustworthy. And then access to this platform is not something you can get anywhere else.
Yeah, access to the platform, the tools of a pro.
Yeah, correct.
Like there's a lot of stuff that is out there. I always say, even as you guys are in here in this classroom, definitely fact check me. I will not tell you or teach you anything that I don't pull the actual law on it. Okay? I know my initial is BS, but I promise you, I didn't do that. Okay?
Oh my God.
I will not do that. All right? What I talk about in this classroom and what I'm going to show you and teach you is what I did. Okay? So some of you might ask me a very advanced question, and I am going to throw some disclaimers up here in a second, where I'm going to tell you, you need to go talk to an attorney about that. I'm going to talk to you about trusts, the trust that you need to have in your business. I'm going to talk to you how to structure this, the type of trust you might want to get. I can't financially or legally advise you what to do, but I'm going to show you how I do it, what I do, and why I do it, and how it helped me avoid certain things. And then from there, you guys can speak to your professional field. Okay? So what's really interesting is, a couple things you guys are saying. Speed, the biggest thing that I always hear is speed and safety. Again, learning from my mistakes, is that going to get you there faster than learning from your own? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, because I'm basically going to give you 10 years of experience in 3 days. Okay. Safety, there's a lot of people that actually have been doing this for a long time and they still pay people's taxes off. They still make that the same mistake. It's the craziest thing to me. I had a person in this class who finally gave up. He'd been investing in tax liens for about 2.5 years, and he made over $100,000 worth of mistakes. What we call that in business is educational tax write-offs. Because you learn, right? You made a mistake, you learn. So one thing I will tell you is whether you paid to be here or you didn't pay to come here, like those who didn't show up, whether you go through some advanced training or you don't go through advanced training, you will always pay for the lessons of this business. Does that make sense? No matter what, you're going to pay for these lessons. You're going to make mistakes. That $1.3 million lawsuit taught me a very, very expensive lesson. Okay? And now it saved me multiple millions on top of that. Alright, so the biggest thing is, how do we get you there as fast as possible? Using the tools that professionals use. So we're going to get into the marketplace. I'm going to show you another website that we use for due diligence called PropStream. It's Some of you might have heard of it. Prop Stream, PROPSTREAM, is a subscription-based model on that. So I'm gonna open that up this afternoon as well. And another tool that we use is called Redfin, redfin.com.
Yeah, I know Redfin.
REDFIN.com. We don't use Zillow. There's no such thing as a estimate. Okay, not on this planet, at least. So we use Zillow for like photos, but not for market analysis. Zillow is a marketing tool, it's a marketing company. Redfin is an actual brokerage, like J-Max, Keller Williams, Berkshire Hathaway. So they have a fiduciary responsibility to put out, like, the right? So I'm gonna show you how we utilize all this. And this weekend, you're getting expert advice, not just from me, but from the experts in the back. Kareem, Scott, Steve, Rick, and Juan, and Jace. These guys have all been doing this business for a very long time. So you have multiple experts in this room, some of which I hold in very high esteem that know a lot more than me that I've learned from in the last 10 years. Okay? If Juan comes back up and interrupts me again, he does that because I've been with him for 10 years, and he just thinks he has that. Right? He uses the hell out of it. But like these guys, a lot of these guys I've known since the beginning, okay? Next, we have seed capital, raising money in our business. We all have the same parents, right? We all grew up with Mark and Patsy Siegel. Because they taught you the same thing they taught me, which is money doesn't grow on
Trees.
a penny saved is saved for a
Right day.
We all learned this crap, right? Only have 1 or 2 credit cards for what purposes only?
Gas.
And you're gonna use it how many times a month?
Once.
Once a month. And when you
Once
use it
a month.
Keep it active, right?
Yeah.
On like gas or a candy bar. And what are you gonna do once you use it?
Pay it off.
See, we all have the same parents. We all grew up in the same bullcrap. I love it when they say, save for a rainy day.
Save, moms. Save.
Like, what the hell you say? A penny saved in, a penny earned.
Yeah.
It's a penny. It's not a penny earned, it's just a penny, okay? So I'm gonna show you guys, in fact, this afternoon, I will show you how to raise $10,000 to $100,000 over lunch.
Wow.
Interest free, 10 to 100,000. We'll see if you do it. $10,000 to $100,000 over lunch. I will help you grow your first tree, okay? I will show you other ways that you can raise capital very, very easily, very quickly in this business. Okay? And some of you will do it, and some of you will say, this is too good to be true, I do it. And that's okay. That's on you. Does that make sense? It's also going to help us know who we're going to help. Okay? Again, we want to help you guys. You guys are here. We're going to give you everything we can. But if you're going to tell us that you don't want to do this, you don't want to do the assignments, you don't think this works, this probably is going to be a good class for you. Does that make sense? Okay. Or, how many of you guys know people that are making money in real estate right now? How many of you are in this class because that person you saw make a lot of money in real estate and hasn't taught you yet?
Right.
Yeah. I don't know, like, I had a friend that was making a ton of money in real estate. I was like, I would quit my job today, I would work for you for free.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like, oh, for sure, I'll teach you. Never thought. Never thought. In fact, I had to take over his business once I got into the business because he didn't know what he was. Pretty interesting story. He also helped me lose $250,000. Okay? $250,000. Gone. Educational, tax write-off. Expensive lessons. Expensive lessons. We don't do deals off of handshakes. Okay? I don't care how close of friends you are with people sitting next to you. This is called bullshit. This will cost you $250,000. Okay? Contracts, paper. That's going to save you. First lien, second lien positions. That's going to save you. Okay? This, $250,000. This, millions of dollars will help you make it. Next, acquisition and exit strategies. You need to know how to acquire, you need to know how to exit. Even on your liens, I'm going to give you guys 4 boxes to check off when doing due diligence on liens for the quickest rate of return. Between 30 and 90 days, your money will be back in your account. Okay, statistically proven. Between 30 and 90 days, we're seeing 95 to 98% of these type of liens being returned, redeemed very quickly back in your account. Okay? At a higher rate of return than your savings account. The crazy thing about your savings account, when you guys save money, if you have money in the savings account right now, and you've been making 0.475 annual, at the end of each year, with the rate of inflation, let's just say it's 1% you make in that account, at the rate of inflation of 7%, you need to take 6% of that money out of your account and burn it. That's what you did by holding that money in that savings account. Okay? It's not keeping up with inflation. So every year that you have money in the savings account that you're not moving or investing in, you're losing. Right? There's a reason why we call it currency. Because it needs to remain with the current. It's got to be mobile. Okay? Money has to move. It's that whole idea saying if you don't use it, you lose it. This is very true. Last but not least, asset protection tax strategies. So on Sunday, we go through this whole thing and then learn how to protect everything, keep it safe, and multiply it. Okay? Questions?
So you know, like, first they pay their taxes, say on January 1st. How long after that do you pay the taxes to acquire that lien?
So how often do you guys supposed to pay your property taxes? You guys know?
Once a year.
Laundry, water, it depends on you.
You guys can just say ask for. I don't know, Brian, how many times are you gonna pay? Okay. Wait, right here, it's annual. The law says annual. I know some of you haven't embedded in the mortgage, I'm gonna take you down a rabbit hole tomorrow on why that is. So what happens is, a county can offer somebody's taxes annually. They have 1 year to pay the property taxes. If they don't pay the property taxes within that year, then you will see it at the auction. Okay? So it's an annual tax. Most of us have if you guys have a mortgage right now, if you have a mortgage, your property taxes are embedded in that mortgage. And the reason for that is because the mortgage will be damned if they lose their mortgage at a county auction tax sale. All right? A mortgage or some type of loan on property is one of the things we look for in due diligence and having the quickest rate of return back when we're buying things. That's one of the things we look for. I'm going to go through that whole thing here.
10.
Did that answer your question? That's going to be very county and state specific is what you're talking about. So it depends on the county that you live in, depends on the state that you live in, to determine who will offer those taxes up and down. That's very, very state and county specific. Or like my kid says, specific. Okay, anyone on the other hand over here from you? So seed capital, what that means is raising capital in your business, planting the seed and letting that tree grow. So that can be through revolving lines of credit, home equity lines of credit, retirement accounts, peer-to-peer lending. I'm gonna go through this whole thing about how to raise that capital. Okay? One last question? We're gonna keep moving? Good, you guys tracking so far? Okay, when it comes to education, so let me show you guys real quick the business model that you guys are a part of here and what Brian Peterson has to offer for you guys. So the first thing you guys went to is that preview event. You heard some things that were enticing to you that were like, man, I really want to get into this. So you paid the $1,000 and you came to this class. Now, at this class, you're going to learn all this stuff here. Okay, step-by-step tax lien and deed investing, the tax lien code marketplace website, proper due diligence on liens and deeds, proper title search and ownership research, how to force a redemption, basically force the hand to pay you quicker. Exit strategies for maximum profit, money mindset, how to properly raise capital, maximum allowable calculation and roll-up costs, pitfalls to avoid, market analysis to know if it's a hot market or not market to invest in, wealth entity structuring and asset protection strategies, how to invest from your retirement accounts, and much, much more. So once again, anything missing on that board that they told you you were going to learn at that previous event that I haven't mentioned yet. We good? Okay. So what happens from here? You guys have this advanced training package on your table there. I'm not going to be going over all the advanced training today. That's actually part of your homework, is to take that home and read through it, and I'll do a review of it tomorrow, so that way it's quick. Because this class isn't about me teaching you what is going on in advanced training. When you guys get out, so we're going to do a one-on-one consultation with you guys. This is not a one-size-fits-all strategy, because each and every single one of you are starting from different phases. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Some of you are starting with a lot, some of you are starting with little, some of you are starting with some experience, some have no experience. So we are going to do a private one-on-one consultation. Our team here, we're going to take you guys out tomorrow with some appointments. And we're going to go over strategies for you on where you're starting with your risk tolerances and all that other stuff. Part of that consultation is whatever questions that you guys have with some of this advanced training stuff, and you want some hand-holding help, some mentorship and coaching and all this other stuff, you can ask during that consultation, okay? What you'll see here is part of the advanced stuff is we have every class that is offered to you guys after this class is basically applying everything that you learned here and actually doing it. Now, whether you do it or not is up to you, meaning every class after this are buying opportunities. So there's going to be a class 3 weeks from now that's going to be hosted back here in Houston. It's called the Foundation Workshop. That Foundation Workshop, we have a couple of tax lien experts that show up with a list of liens ready for purchase. They actually will do the research and vet those liens first. They'll download the list prior. It's a 2-day workshop. When you show up, they're going to go through that list with you. They're going to help you understand all the associated costs, and then all of you have the opportunity to buy whichever ones you want. Whatever you don't buy, or whatever's left over at that class, if it isn't purchased there, those instructors will be the ones purchasing the rest of the ones that are left over. They can only bring in liens that they themselves will buy. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Now, we have about a 95% success rate at this class because we still get people like myself that show up super scared and will not press enter to buy that lien. Like literally. And it'll be like a $50 lien. And we'll be like, no. Like, it's super scary, especially when you have your own money. Does that make sense to everybody? I was really hard for them. You know, my wife, she brought me to this class and she's like, I don't want you getting shot at. I'm like, too late.
Right.
But like, she's like, you know, that was one of the biggest things. And I even had the instructor tell me when I was super afraid to buy like $150 lien, he looked at me, he's like, Brian, how can you be more comfortable chasing gangsters down a dark alley in Sussex or Los Angeles than just pressing enter on a lien that has a secured interest rate backed by law? And I was like, well, I know where the gangsters come. I still am unsure where my money's going here, right? So it's a little bit of uncertainty. So that's why we've got a 95 success rate. The second day is all about wholesaling. So they actually, at that class, they go a little bit deeper dive into the wholesaling aspect because we want to make sure that you guys are making money. So in the phase 1, the kit download, I want to show you how Brian Peterson has given you guys sample purchase contract and sample assignment contract. So you can start that business right away. How many licensed agents do I have in this class? Real estate agents, licensed agents? Okay, so for my licensed agents, you cannot use those contracts. Okay, you have to use your state regulated contracts. Does that make sense? The other thing about wholesaling, there's 2 types of wholesaling in this world. There's buying deed at the tax rate, which is deed discounted. This is where pennies on the dollar come in. And selling that property at a wholesale price. Turning around and listing it and selling it like a fire sale. Then there is an assignment of contract, which is a true wholesale transaction, which is I put a house under contract to purchase and I sell that contract to another investor with no money out of my own pocket. They pay me $5,000 or $10,000 for the contract. That type of assignment is becoming more and more difficult throughout the U.S. Illinois, being ran by a bunch of gangsters, the mafia, was the first one to pass a law that said you need to be a licensed agent in order to wholesale transactions, basically broker deal. That being said, there's still a lot of states out there that allow this, and it's still a very easy way and very feasible way to make money, okay? So one thing my brokers do is in states that they aren't licensed in, if you incorporate in those states, you can use the assignment contract. Okay, because it's just a business. Being a licensed agent, you just have to disclose on the contract that you're a licensed agent in other states. So I do get the question a lot of times, like, hey, should I get my real estate license to be in this business? There's pros and cons to everything. I had my license for a little while, and I enjoyed it for about 5 minutes, because I had to disclose all this crap. I had basically given my whole life out. And I didn't like it. The biggest thing I didn't like was my broker, who I found my license with, was demanding that I give them my marketing material for how I was buying these houses. And my broker was an investor too. So I was like, you slick little dog, I didn't give a crap, no. So I let my license go. My wife was my real estate agent. Now, the Taxing Investor Expo, that is a 3-day event. Brian Peterson is the host of that event. What's cool about this event is he does a deep dive into what's called institutional investing. So institutions, like insurance companies, banks, and hedge funds, they show up to auctions before we do. We participate in what's called a primary auction, okay? What happens is the county wants guaranteed money. So BlackRock, Goldman, or some other type of insurance company will show up, and the day prior, they'll say, here's $500,000 for liens that fit this 5 items. And those liens, the county will basically give to that institution for the $500,000. So then when the auction starts, and let's say we were doing due diligence on liens in batch 2, liens 20 through 30, when that auction starts, batch 2, liens 20 through 30 are gone, it's because those institutions already picked them up. Does that make sense? Yes. So what's cool about the expo is Brian Peterson, the owner of the company, he's been doing this for 20 years. So he has those relationships. Those institutional investors show up to this event with their liens and their deeds that they've already gained interest on, that they've already vetted, and offer them up to you guys to buy right away and file foreclosures on right away, file redemptions right away. So it is another buying opportunity. I will say, for a lot of my advanced training students, try not to be lazy. I want you guys to learn how the auctions work. But I do have students, this happens once a quarter. All they do is they show up once a quarter, they buy turnkey properties, so they have rental properties there that are vetted and ready to go. And they buy deeds and liens just at this event. They show up every quarter. And so they know the portfolio very quickly. It's speed and safety is what they get. And the other cool thing about this event is Brian Peterson's tax advisor and real estate attorney show up, spend 8 hours with you guys over tax strategies and real estate laws and regulations that are going on in the world and how to apply them in your own business to take advantage of all those tax codes. Okay, so that's a pretty cool event. The Real Estate Summit, Commercial Real Estate, Multi-Unit Boot Camp. This also happens once a quarter. There's a guy named Eric, who is the one that does this. Eric's been investing for about 26 years. He's flipped tons of properties. He holds tons of commercial buildings. He basically teaches how to underwrite these multi-units and apartment complexes and buildings. What you guys are going to learn is this week. You're going to make money, okay, in this business. If you put in the action, if you put forth the work, you're going to make money. The goal is how to keep it and how to multiply it. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
So the way you keep it is not paying tax on it. So we're going to show you how to avoid paying the tax. How to multiply it is to put it in a cash flowing asset, an asset of cash flow that you'll never pay tax on. I'm actually going to show you an example of this, a deal that I just locked down 2 weeks ago that we're starting to work on already, where I have, in one of my businesses, I have a pretty large tax bill this year because of the amount of money we make. Okay, now anytime I talk about numbers, money, deals, all this stuff, I will say hypothetical. Okay, there's laws now and regulations with all the education stuff, and we can't. I used to show my HUD statements, checks, closing docs, all that other stuff. We can't do that. So everything I'm going to show you is always a hypothetical. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so let's just say hypothetically, I have a tax bill of around $200 in this one business. Hypothetically, I bought this property in Illinois off of 83rd, and it's on Bob, I think is how you say the street. I'll pull it up. For $60 grand. And it's going to cost me $150,000 to renovate it. It's a burnout property. Okay, so there's a fire. It's going to cost me $150,000 to renovate. One of the strategies I do is called VA group housing. Property and now cash flow $16,000 a month, which ends up being tax free, and I just created a $192,000 annual income off of the tax by moving the money. Hypothetically. It's not legally defined as a group house. Now, I will preface this, I will not be teaching you guys how to group out your houses. It's a strategy I use, it's available to all of you. So it's just a strategy that I use, it's an exit strategy that I use, okay? I also do Section 8, I also do Airbnbs, property hacking and all that other crap. But for this example, that's the property that's going on. So real estate summit, commercial real estate, that's where they teach you how to do a lot of this stuff. The turnkey properties that are offered up, they can actually, the people that bring those properties in, the institutions that bring those in, can Section 8 out those properties. That's how I started getting into Section 8 housing. But because when we go to the summit and we buy turnkey properties, meaning properties ready for rent, they would help me outfit it with the Section 8 tenant. I love Section 8. I love VA. It's guaranteed money from the government.
It's true.
Does this make sense?
Yeah.
So literally, that's me just saying thank you to all of you for paying your taxes. That's where money comes from. Right? Your tax. Straight up. Okay? So I'll show you guys how some of this stuff works. We talk about the exit strategies. And then you have the real estate market analysis we'll go over. And then tomorrow I'll review with you guys outside of the docs. The seller stood up, looked at me dead in the eye, and said, "I can't do this." Walk out.
What?
And it's happened more than once.
Oh my God.
I've also purchased property, which I have gotten title to close, clear title to close, title insurance on the property. My attorney called me the next day and said, "Hey, Brian, we have a problem. I'm going to show you guys when we build our power team. Nobody in my power team can ever come to me and say, we have a problem. Only my wife can do that. Okay? Like, we need to take out the trash. We need to take the kids to school, right? Only my wife can do it. So when my attorney called and said we have a problem, he said there was 3 years of back taxes owned by 3 different investors still on the property that needed to be paid off.
What?
I got clear title closed. I got title insurance. And that still happened. So I personally don't like guarantees, but I will review the guarantee that Brian Peterson gives you for that advanced training and education. Okay? I'll show you how he guarantees your money back. Now, lastly, we have one other type of education. Okay? That's like the first one. All right? An accredited investor is somebody that's got $1 million liquid, not including the personal residence, and is making either $250 a year as a single income earner or $350 as a dual. So you do have to qualify to get into the founders. And the founders is essentially, you get all the training, you get all the guarantees, but you get access to Brian's complete network. Okay, his attorney, his tax advisor, his institutional investor, he's investing in. Right now we have our money in a big hotel that's being built in Park City, Utah. That's actually backed by the Waldorf Astoria. So it's a pretty cool investment. On top of that, you get special invite to the owner's roundtable. That's where you get all of his network, access to the exclusive diamond investment fund, upgrade to the marketplace. So give my accredited investors 3 months free on that marketplace, access to 200 properties, monthly inventory, portfolio tracking management for building out a portfolio, getting that passive income. You get invites to the annual network symposium, which is in Florida, usually in Destin. It's the event that I love because I actually host it. Right, so when I say I've been here for a long time and I trust Brian, I love the whole network. I mean it. And then you get automatic approval for the cash out refinance program. Now, all of our students that go through the advanced program get access to that lender. However, our credit investor gets an automatic cash out. And I will talk to you guys more about that tomorrow, what that looks like when it comes to like redemption needs and needs. Okay? And how you get your money back out and reinvest it. All right, so this is all the education that's available. Like I said tonight, you guys are going to take this pamphlet home and you're going to read through it, so that way tomorrow when you do it with your consultants, you can ask whatever questions you have on it. Now, there's a couple things I need you to do on the front page real quick. So on the front page, please write nothing is offered a la carte. Just right there in the front. Right?
Average.
Average. There it is. Average. How much money do average people make?
Average amount.
It's always one back. Okay? Somebody put in an average effort, it's a poor result. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't believe any of you in here are of the average. Because you're here, you're investing in yourself. You've already proved yourself. Okay? So always remember that average. Okay, we have numerous documented successful deals from our students who work with our coaches, but we do not track each and every single student. So we cannot provide a typical kind of statistical result. Assume that the average person, there it is, makes little to no money. This business takes hard work. Any examples of successful students have purchased advanced coaching services, and some of those students may now be working as one of your instructors.
Wow.
Okay, in this business, we're looking at these three types of sales: tax liens, tax deeds, and redemption deeds. It's starting to warm up in here now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, no?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, you're probably still on now, but I can definitely feel the warmth because I can feel my ears again. What do you got back there, Steve?
It's gone up from 55 to 63.
Okay, so we're at 63, we're almost there. It was 55 when you all got here, okay? So now we're starting to get up. So tax liens, tax deeds, redemption deeds. These are the three sales, the three types of businesses that you guys are going to be working in. Some of you in here want to be just tax lien investors. Some of you want to be straight tax deeds, want to acquire property. Some of you want both, tax liens and tax deeds, which I recommend. And there are certain strategies that we utilize in a redemption deed state. Texas is a redemption deed state. Your brain is going to mess up on you tomorrow. Okay? We're going to talk all about tax liens today and redemption period. When we talk about tax deeds, there is no redemption period until you see redemption in front of deeds. Redemption deeds work as though they're liens. They're properties that you acquire with a redemption period for the homeowner to come back and redeem that property. So there are things that you legally must do with that property when you're holding it, and things you should absolutely avoid doing when you're holding on to that property. The redemption period could be anywhere between 6 months to 2 years. The reason why we love Texas so much is that whole saying that says everything is what in Texas? Big. So here in Texas, if you buy a property that has a non-homestead exemption on it, non-homestead exempt property, they have 6 months to redeem the property from it. Okay, so if you win that deed at an auction here in Texas, it's non-homestead, they have 6 months. If they redeem in the first 30 days, in the first week, if they redeem the next day, they owe you back all of your money plus 25%. Now, you show me the bank account that's paying you 25%, I'll put all my money in. That's backed by real property, I'll put my money in. You show me a CD, an annuity, a mutual fund, I will put my money in. Okay? Now, the crazy thing is if you buy a property with a homestead exemption on it, which there is a strategy for this. Okay, I'll give you a little kind of peek into it. Let's say you have a real estate business and you made some good money, and the tax guy, Uncle Sam's like, hey, you owe us X amount of money on taxes on this money. I'm going to teach you guys the language that we speak to the IRS. It's very simple. It's a very simple dialect. It's called dolphin. Okay? Dolphin. So what this means is when the IRS calls you and says, hey, you owe us taxes, how are you going to tell them?
You say dolphin? Mm-hmm. Dolphin.
Okay?
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Siegel, you owe us this much in tax on your money. It's just that simple. So let's say I make $50,000 in my business, hypothetically speaking. I don't want to pay tax on that money. So I want to move that money to another asset. And I want to buy and hopefully win a property here in Texas with a homestead exemption on it. Because now that homeowner has 2 years to redeem the property. So essentially, if I spend $50,000 on a property here in Texas, my $50,000 is going to sit against a property
Mm-hmm.
for 2 years at a rate of 25%.
Mm-hmm.
If they redeem after the first year and on the first day, 1 year, 1 day, they now owe me back all of their money and 50% on that bill. 50. So my money is secured by real estate, earning at a 25% penalty per year. By moving my money into that real estate, I avoid paying taxes, and I've now kept my money, and I've now multiplied it. You see how that works? So there are people that I work with, accredited investors especially, where when they have an exit out of a business, or they make a large investment, make a large return, we will put a decent amount of money into property here in Texas that have homestead exemption on them to secure that money for 2 years at a rate of 25%. We don't like it in the stock market too much because, as you guys saw recently, the stock market has dropped billions of dollars just overnight.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
My dad plays very heavily in the stocks. When that happened, he called me up and said, "Hey, are you okay?" I play only in real estate. Guess what happened when my tax liens in the stock market crashed?
It went up.
Nothing really. I mean, it doesn't go up, right? It just stays. My interest stays. It's mandated by the state. So my dad called me and said, "Hey, are you okay?" Whenever he calls me, I know there's something wrong with the stock. So he called, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "You know what? We're getting by. I'm doing okay. Kids are healthy." He's like, "Dude, the stock's just dropped millions of dollars." I'm like, "How do you do it?" He's like, "I just lost everything." Then he says, "How's that real estate going?" He always gets real. "How's real estate going?" It's bad. You should just stay in the stock market. I tried to invest in my dad's money once. He said, "You do it first." A year later, I quit the LAP.
Wow.
He still hasn't invested in money.
Wow.
He's still wondering why I quit. My dad did 42 years on the fire department. LAC. So we invest our money here in tax liens, and redemption. So there are strategies to the redemption in states. Here in Texas, 25%. Georgia's 20% for the first year, 10% every year after. They have an 18-month redemption period. So you'll make 20% of your money the first year, then you'll file a foreclosure the consecutive year. And it'll take you about 6 months to go through the foreclosure process because there's notifications you have to do in Georgia. And you will make an additional 10% that following year. So on the redemption deeds, it's penalties, not necessarily interest. So when we talk about these different types of sales, liens is interest. Lien, interest. That's an annualized rate of return, simple interest. So for example, if you want a tax lien and you're earning 12% interest on that tax lien, you are making 1% per month. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
So once a year, 12%, 1% per month. So if they were to redeem in month 6, how much interest would they have to pay? 6%. Exactly. Good. Now on the liens, and we're going to go over some key terms here in a second. On the liens, there's 2 types of bidding that I want you to write down, and then we're going to review it. So next to lien, you have interest, simple, annualized rate of return. On the bidding process, there is bid down, which is the majority of states that do this. It's called bid down. And what you're bidding down is the interest. So Florida, for example, I'll talk to you guys a lot about Florida because it's one of the easiest states to invest in, and they have auctions yearly, every month almost. You start at 18% in Florida, and the winning bidder is the one willing to take the lowest amount of interest. So you start at 18% and you bid down 1/4% from there, 17 3/4, 17 1/2, 17 1/4, 17, 16 3/4. You will see people in Florida deploy a strategy where we will secure liens at 1/4%. We'll bid it all the way down to 1/4%.
Wow.
The reason for this is because Florida has a law that states any lien that redeems early that has not surpassed the surplus of 5% or more. What I mean by surplus is the interest has not gained 5% or more. The homeowner, when they redeem that lien, has to pay the lien holder an automatic 5% penalty on their money. So we will deploy the strategy of bidding all of our liens down to 1/4% because what we really want is that 5% automatic. So if you get a 5% return on a lien in 30 days, what's your actual IRR for the annual?
60.
What is it?
60.
60. You made 60% on that lien. 5 times 12 is? You made it in 30 days. See what I'm saying? So Florida, because of those laws, it makes us as investors go a little bit more aggressive at these options. We don't care about 10%. We don't care about 12%, 18%. I want the 5. Does that make sense? In Indiana, this is where things get really crazy, guys. Okay? Now I'm going to talk to you about states that I invest in, and in the states that have the highest rate of returns and the easiest amount to invest, right? Indiana, tax lien state. Now, whoever lives in Indiana, I hope they understand the county that they live with, because Indiana is not as gangster as it is. Indiana has a 12-month redemption period, okay? 12 months. They pay a penalty, so not an interest. For the first 6 months, the penalty is 10%. So if a homeowner, if you secure a tax lien in Indiana, they will owe you 10% on your money if they redeem in the first month, second month, third month, fourth month, fifth month, and sixth month. It's an automatic 10%. If it goes beyond the 6 months into the 7th month, that 10% jumps to 15%. Now, Indiana doesn't do a bid down method. Indiana does what's called a premium bid method. So write that down. Premium or bid up. Premium or bid up. The premium method is bidding up the face value amount of the taxes. And what that is the annual taxes. So whatever's owed for the annual taxes, that's the face amount. And we'll go over those key terms here in a second. So let's say the face amount that you're bidding on is $1,000, and you bid it up and win it at $5,000. How much did you overbid? 4. The majority of states will not pay you any interest on that 4,000. It's a wash. Okay? You don't earn any interest. Indiana, however, will pay you a 5% annualized rate of return on the 4,000. So I love Indiana because for a year I'm making 10 to 15% penalty and an automatic 5% annualized secured interest on my overage. So if I bid up $10,000 and I win that $1,000 lien at $10,000, I'm making 5% on 9 and an automatic 10 or 15 on the 1. After 1 year, if they don't redeem, I get to proceed with the foreclosure on the property. So I really like Indiana. There's an auction coming up in Indiana that I'm going to show you guys this afternoon. And I'm going to show you some of the research I've done, some of the liens already that are going out. This is really important for me to tell you guys this. What I'm going to show you this afternoon, when I get to the marketplace, is what you all have access to come Monday. So when I'm doing research on these auctions, on Monday, you have the same auction that you can participate in. What I'm telling you is I'm going to do the work for you. So just take notes, okay? Now, just understand, I'm participating in that auction as well. Okay, so we will see each other at the auction. Make sense? And I promise you, how many of you guys feel there's a lot of competition in this business? Anybody here feel that way? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. It's false. There is none. There's no competition. There's too many. There's so many ways to make money in this business, it is stupid. Because what I go after might be different than what you're going after. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
How many of you want to get liens against, like, houses, like real estate? Yeah? Okay. I put liens against parking lots.
That's good.
I put liens against medical buildings.
Wow. That's good.
Some of you, when you see what I'm going to show you, might want to just get liens against some clubs and bars. I know some of you all.
Yeah, right.
Some of you might want liens against hotels. Every piece of property goes property taxes. I like parking lots. And I'll show you that strategy why, but I like parking lots. So in Indiana, I'm going after parking lots. In some of my deed states, I go after car washes, do-it-yourself car washes.
Yeah, I love the car wash.
You can find liens against mobile home parks,
Yeah.
campground sites,
Wow.
commercial buildings.
Anything.
It's insane. Here in Texas, there was an auction 5 months ago. I don't know if you guys saw this, I think it was in Dallas. Somebody won a building for $12.5 million. Guess how much the building's worth?
26 million.
100? Huh? 125 million. Okay? Homeboy secured it for $12.5 million. How many banks would you rob? Like when I saw this, I was like, who do I need to call? $12.5 million. He secured the building for $12.5 million. His assessed value is $110 million. Is his $12.5 million secured against that $125 million piece of property?
Yeah.
100%. Making 25%. The building owner has 6 months to redeem.
Wow.
Because it's a non-homestead. These are the type of deals that are out there. There's no competition. this, so I'm telling you all these different strategies, right? I like parking lots, you guys might like real property, some of you want a dance club, some of you want to get a hotel. This is all part of us understanding your strategy. Does that make sense? So we need to know, what are your goals? How much money do you want to make in the next 12 months? How much money are you working with? Do you know where your money's at? Do you have any equity in your property that you might be able to hold and start investing? Here's another great book I want you guys to write down, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Oh, yeah, I've read that.
What is that?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Rich Dad, oh,
Yeah, I read it.
Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah. It's a good.
The way you spell Kiyosaki, it's K, Iwasaki.
Okay, Kiyosaki.
Do your best. Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's actually an accounting book. Most people think it's a real estate book. It's an accounting book. And he was teaching what liabilities and assets are. If you have a house right now, if you're living in it, that has equity, but you're still paying on it, that is a liability. It's taking money from you each month. It's a liability. The minute that house starts putting money in your pocket, that's when it becomes an asset. There are a lot of people that are sitting on a lot of equity and doing nothing with it. And it's the easiest form of money to take and start investing with it. Does that make sense? So we're going to pass out this form. It's called a goal sheet, okay? And in this goal sheet, we're going to ask you some of these questions. This sheet stays with you. If we can't use it for anything else other than your action plan. And we're going to line it up with the consultants that you guys have. What I will tell you is this. Be as honest as you can, but by all means, you can lie on this sheet. It's your prerogative, right? So just know this. If you lie on the sheet, totally fine. We're just going to build the action plan off of the lies that you tell us. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so if it doesn't work, when you guys leave here this weekend, who's to blame? It's just that simple. The business works with or without you. Does that make sense to everybody? So we're gonna take a quick moment here. We're gonna fill this out. Can I get one of those forms too as well, please? Thanks, Steve. And Scott, did you want to come walk through, or Jace, or anybody? Or do you want me to? I usually have one of the guys come up and introduce themselves and kind of walk through this. Scott, thanks, bud. So Scott's gonna come up and introduce himself, and he's gonna kind of walk you through some how to fill this out and how to do this. Again, this is an approximate, right? So we know that most of you aren't gonna know the exact numbers on this. This is for us to build the action plan for you guys to execute on Monday and the following weeks that go along with your 21-day career start. So everybody, please give Scott a big round of applause. Part three. Here you go.
It's up to 64 degrees.
Getting warmer.
We're getting there. There's a couple more degrees left to get out our snow trucks. All right, everybody, so a couple things. If you are with somebody and you share finances, like a significant other, you can just do one form. But on where it says name, just put both names. So if you're with a spouse, significant other, if you do share finances, you can do just one form. If you were here with somebody as a guest or you don't, please both of you fill out the form. So we'll go through it really quickly, pretty self-explanatory. If you need more space for any of these different items, always turn it over. There's a blank sheet on the back. So there's some people that may have more than, you'll see their space for investment properties. You may have more than the space allotted. So first thing, your name. Hopefully you know what that is. And then when you signed in, are you the primary? Primary typically is the person that went, if both of you could have attended the first event, typically that's the person that paid that was on the left-hand side of the enrollment agreement. So if that is you, or are you, please just circle primary. If you're a guest, please circle guest. And have you ever attended another tax lien training before? And if you have, this will be the last one we'll use. Are you, how many of you have purchased tax liens or deeds before? Just a handful. I would say the majority of you are novices in terms of this. You may have been in real estate or invested before, investment properties, things like that. And this is just, again, different ways and techniques. So I would say 99% of you are probably novice, which is good. You don't have any bad habits. Your goals, your motivation. How many of you are motivated?
Yeah.
Cool.
So then you, how many of you are not going to raise your hands no matter what I ask? Okay. All of you hopefully attend You, number one, you did the first event, you signed up, you're gonna spend 3 days with us. That is commitment, that is motivation. If you circle a 5, all of us as consultants are gonna ask you, hey, you know, why are you here? We can need your water, we can't need you. So hopefully all of you are for 10. Underneath that, what are your goals financially? It's not making money. Making money is great, and there's really no other business like this. What would that do? What would having more money income, passive as well as I call it earned income, what's that gonna do for you? Is it, like for me, I had a job. Does anyone know what job stands for? Just overwork. And I worked hard. How many of you work hard? And the problem was I was exchanging hours for dollars. And the problem is we've been taught that's not our fault. I don't want you to get more time for it. That was super important to me. I wanted time for your back. Could it be legacy? How many of you have kids under the age of 18 that you like? I have 2 boys with kids all the time, they work, like you say, family. Legacy, charity, can be a combination of all of them. What's it holding you back? Now, all of you are different, and kind of what Ryan said, the more you put, this stays between you and the consultant, it helps us. So think of it as if you're going to the doctor and you don't feel good. If you're vague with your answers to the doctor, it's going to be really hard to diagnose and help. We're here to help. We want to push outside of your comfort zone, but we want to help you to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. And then underneath that, current property. So you can just put the street address. You don't need to put the city or state or anything like that. If you rent, just put rent. You can say apartment, condo, townhouse, whatever that may be. Either way, how long have you lived where you are now? How much is your monthly payment? Those of you that are paying a mortgage, you do PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Again, approximate. If you don't know exactly to the thing, that's okay. What is the approximate value? Those of you that do own a home, again, estimate as best you can. How much do you owe on that property? And of course, the difference between the two is equity. So if I have a house that's for $500,000, I owe $300,000. I owe $200,000 worth of equity. Underneath there now, if you're renting, you won't do the value or anything like that. You just put your monthly payment and how long you've been living here. Those of you, and I saw a couple hands go up when Brian did ask, if you own investment properties, go ahead and just put the address again. Same questions as primary residence above. How long? Payment, more importantly here, cash flow. Are you positive cash flow for every month? After all of those have been paid. Renter pays the rent, you have expenses, of course. What's the cash flow after that? If you don't have these, then blank. If you have more than 3, that would be the backside of the payment. And then halfway, about just a little over halfway down the page, credit. Credit is availability. But do you know your credit score? And we'll have an expert from one of our Peterson's partner companies that we have a great relationship with that will talk about this, talk about credit. What do you do? So occupation, if you are self-employed, please tell us what you do. What business do you own? Is it a bakery? Is it whatever it may be? So if you're self-employed, just let us know. I am, and what business do you own? And what do you currently do? And then the annual income after that. Underneath, you'll see there's 3 different lines. Checking account. Hopefully all of you have a checking account. Just circle the appropriate dollar amount of how much you have. If you have a savings account, go ahead and circle that. Some of you may not. So again, if it's not applicable, you can just leave it blank. And then the last one, those of you that have money in retirement account, an IRA, individual retirement account, that would be this line right here. If you have a 401k, that's not this line. You'll see it's the space underneath. So there's 2 types, a traditional IRA and a Roth. So if you have either one of those, circle that line. Underneath that, if you're currently working and you are participating in a 401k, I can approximate how much you have inside of that. Of course, it fluctuates every day, but the market's open. Do you have an existing loan? HELOC stands for Home Equity Line of Credit. If you do not have one, or you've never heard of it before, you probably don't have one. Those of you that are right, someone who can't get a HELOC, it would be someone, again, who has equity in their property, and a HELOC is a great way to utilize that equity to invest in other opportunities. 401k balance, if you have an old 401k from a previous employer. And then those of you that have business lines of credit, so you already have some entity set up, LLCs, S corps, C corps, things like that, you can put it on that line. And then finally, rounding out the sheet, we don't need credit card numbers. We just need to know, is it a Visa, a MasterCard, a Discover card, or American Express? Those are the four. Department store cards and things like that we don't need, because those would be only to be used in that particular place. So these can be used, of course, anywhere. So just put the card, Amex, whatever it may be, Visa, your credit limit, approximate your balance if you know what to pay, perfect. And then, of course, the difference between how much you have available versus how much you currently have on the card will be the remaining balance available. Now, I'm going to give you just a couple of minutes to fill it out. Important, if you are with somebody, again, that primary and guest, that was one of the first questions when we started, please hand in your sheets together. What we will do when we do consultations, the two of you will do your consultation together. So if you're by yourself, if you are the primary, of course, you'll just hand in your sheet by yourself. Now, once both of you, if you're with somebody, please both of you have finished the form, or you're by yourself, if you have finished the form, just simply raise your hand. And I can Greg and Jace will come by, pick it up. If you're with somebody, please hand it in together. We will dog here at the top left, and we'll have to staple it. We will staple those together. So yeah, once you guys just raise your hand again, if you're with somebody, please both of you make sure you are ready to go. Put your forms together. And then you can please hand them in together. Thank you so much for your attention. I'll pass it back over to you.
Just gonna put, what are your top financial, other person?
I have this one.
You can do two separate, since you've already done it, that's fine.
So again, we want to get these in, because this is how we're going to start building out that action plan strategy for you guys for those consultations. Okay, yes?
What's only the understanding of how it works.
Yeah. I know some of you have all their kind of stuff in your head. Yeah, restrooms, so just so you guys know, one restroom on the left, one restroom on the right, further down there's another restroom. Okay. All set? Okay.
Well done, sir. Here you go, Steve. These ones are together. Thank you. Okay.
I know we're going along, guys, but there's a lot of information we gotta get through, so this will be the longest to go before I give you a break, okay? Go. Okay. All right. How many more people still have? Still working? Okay, good. Just raise your hand as soon as you're done. Grab that from you. All right. As you guys are filling that out, I'm gonna keep trucking along here. I've got you for another 30 minutes, and I'll give you your first break. Okay? Tax sales. Okay, when it comes to the taxing and tax sale process. When we're talking about a taxing, okay, step by step on this whole taxing process. Everything starts with this property right here. There it is. Okay, so everything starts with property. Now that property can be a big parcel. That property can be a car wash, a mobile home park, recreational land, commercial building, anything that essentially owes property tax.
So I don't want you guys just to think only as in like a single family residence. Does that make sense? You can get liens against apartment complexes. You can get liens against mixed-use commercial with commercial on the bottom and apartments on the top. Hotels, motels. It's amazing on the things you'll find that get liens. I personally like parking lots, and I'll show you why in a bit. So what happened is this property owner owes taxes to the county government, okay? The reason for that is because that money that this person is supposed to owe the county to, where does that money go? Where does it go towards? What is it? Roads, first responders, schools, education, good. So first responders, roads, master plans, shopping centers, like things like that, parks, and the majority of it is supposed to go to education, okay? Now, we won't get into too deep of the politics that happen with this money and where it's not going because teachers are never paid what they should, right? Do I have any teachers in here by chance? Any educators? No? So what happens is when somebody doesn't pay their property taxes, the first thing I want you guys to understand is we don't judge, right? Anything can happen. Medical stuff can happen, life happens, for whatever reason, they didn't pay their property taxes. Us as investors, this is where we take advantage of what the county offers. So for whatever. Now, when they don't pay, the county is going to start sending a bunch of notifications, the certified letters, maybe phone calls, mainly it's letters. It's basically saying final notice, we're going to foreclose, we're going to steal your children and keep your dog. Okay? They're very aggressive letters. Like I've seen a few of these letters. And basically the county is like threatening to take their whole livelihood away if they don't pay the property taxes. Where this mainly happens is people that have property that they own free and clear, there's no mortgages on them. There are some tax liens that have loans on them, such as reverse mortgages, home equity line of credit. It's like a primary mortgage has been paid off. Does that make sense, everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what happens is the county, when they don't get the payment, they have the legal right now to write up a tax lien certificate against that property. So when they don't get the payment, they have to put a lien against the property. In order for the county to get their money on this, they offer this lien up at a public auction. That's what we do. Okay? So they will sell this at a public auction in the primary sense. We come in with our money to pay for that lien, not necessarily for the back taxes. You're paying for the lien. Does that make sense, everybody?
Yes.
So the business dealing that you have here in this auction is between you and the county. That's right, you and the county. So you do not actually have any homeowner rights or any rights to the property just by buying the tax lien. Okay? Real quick, anybody else still have the form out with you guys? If you do, just raise your hand. Yep, got a couple over here, one. Steve's got some, okay? Yeah. So what happens here is you are holding the certificate of this property for the taxes. I do my taxes once a quarter, and I'll show you guys a strategy. When you guys start making like a decent amount of money in your business, you will not be doing your taxes once a year. You have to forecast or project what you're going to make by the end of the year so you know where you move your money. Does that make sense to everybody? All right, so there's a whole strategy for this. Then I'm going to talk to you guys about something else. So what happens here is, when I was talking to my tax guy, it was pretty interesting how he put this. He said, essentially, you become a bank and you've given a loan to the homeowner through the county to pay for those taxes, giving them time to redeem it. Does that make sense, everybody? So it's funny when he told me this, because he saw the amount of liens that we were holding for this past year. And I was like, well, let's write this up like a lender did. Like, what kind of tax benefits do I get as a lender now, right? He's like, well, essentially it's not classified that way, right? You're holding certificates. Okay? So what happens here is what you are buying is the lien directly from the county. Okay, directly from the county. So you will not call the homeowner. There's a lot of laws now that make it illegal for you to solicit the owner prior to and even after the sale. Okay? So what happens here is when you buy that tax lien certificate, the thing you need to know about tax liens is it's all about time. So you're gonna get that lien, and you're gonna look like that, okay? It's about time. So you hold a lien, and now you're letting it marinate. You're letting it have, the owner has time to redeem it. You're looking at anywhere between 6 months to 6 years. So even for my professional procrastinators in here, I'll give you 6 years before you have to do something on that lien. Okay? Liens have a statute of limitation of 7 years. What happens on the 7th year, if nobody redeems that lien, the homeowner doesn't redeem, and you don't file a foreclosure against it, known as a TDA, which we'll go through here in a second, then that lien falls off the property. It's not unavoidable. That's how you will lose money in this business. So again, for my professional procrastinators, I'm giving you 6 years. You gotta do something by the 6th year. Because on the 7th year, it's gone. Makes sense? Okay, so 7 year statute of limitation. 6 months to 6 years to have the opportunity to redeem this lien. Now, most states will have a 2-year redemption period. So what that means is if you're holding a lien for 2 years, in that 2nd year, you have the right to file a TDA. T as in Tom, D as in David, A as in Adam. Tax deed application. The tax deed application is the foreclosure form that we fill out at the county to essentially foreclose on that lien or send that lien to another foreclosed auction, a deed foreclosure auction, depending on the state of it, okay? So what happens there, you are foreclosing on your property, you have X amount of days to pay or vacate the property. I mean, it is super aggressive. If something gets foreclosed on at a tax deed sale, okay, or you foreclose on the lien, they lose everything. They don't walk with any equity, they don't walk with anything. The sheriff would show up, depending on the state that you're in. The sheriff will show up a day or two after the auction is done, or the deed is filed, knock on the door and say, you have 24 hours to vacate. If you do this in California, anybody here originally from California? The state, the communist country, whatever? What part? East LA? What happened there? Where'd you live? I never worked East LA. I never worked East LA. Roosevelt? Awesome. So in California, if you get the deed and there's people living in it, they can stay in it for another 2, 3, 4, 5 years. That's why. Yeah. So it's funny, I get a lot of people that are like, how do you avoid squatters? Don't put your money in the states that allow squatters. You got 50 states to fight, okay? Florida just passed a law, no more squatter rights. I love the food, I will not touch my money there. You shut your mouth.
What is that that happened to you? You passed, you died before.
That's a great Sunday. Please write that down, don't forget to ask me that on Sunday. Right, because it's valid. Let's say you hold 100 liens and you die. Right, what do you do? What happens? Well, we sure as hell don't want to go back to government.
Right.
You don't want to go to probate.
Go to your
So
children.
you better have set yourself up properly, so that way
Oh,
you
that's what you're probably here for.
remember, you're no longer a human being. LLCs have member managers. Trusts have beneficiaries. Okay? So we will talk about that on Sunday. What happens to all of your liens if you, for whatever reason, decide to check out? Okay? Which is going to happen. That's the risky thing about life. None of us is getting out of life. So what happens here, this is really important. Homeowners are the only ones that have the right to redeem the lien. There are a couple definitions. Remember I told you about this, avoid and evade, right? So all these laws all go by definition. Redemption is a homeowner right. Only the homeowner. If the homeowner dies, it'll be the next of kin heirs that will have the right to redeem if they have some type of ownership or heirship to that property. You are not redeeming the lien. In order for you to get paid on your lien, either the homeowner redeems it or you foreclose on it. As an investor, you have the right to foreclose. Now, when can you foreclose on this lien? after the redemption period, great job, after the redemption period, you cannot foreclose on it before. You can close on it once it's, I call it marinate, because I like arguing. So, I say marinate. In Arizona, for example, 3 years, 16%, 3 years. So once you file a lien for 3 years in Arizona, that lien, if it's not redeemed by the homeowner, you can now file a foreclosure. In most states, Colorado, Florida, New Jersey, we're talking 2 years. So once you file that lien for 24 months, then you can file the TDA, you can file for the foreclosure if the homeowner has not redeemed. The redemption amount is the amount of the face value that you paid at the auction plus interest owed to the date of redemption. Okay, so again, this comes back to if you want to lien at 12% and they redeem on the 6th month, that's the date of redemption, which means they're going to pay a total of how much? Say it loud with confidence. 6%. Okay, that's the day of redemption. All right, it's not, well, I wanted it at 12%, so they owe me 12. No, that's it's interest. Simple interest is annualized. Does everybody understand what that means? Does everybody track what I'm saying? So in this world of liens, there's interest and there's penalty. When you hear me say penalty, it's a flat rate. Okay, it's flat. All right, meaning that like Florida, if you win it at 12%, but they redeem in the first 30 days, they owe you 5%. Because of that law that they have, it's a guaranteed 5% penalty. It's a penalty. So again, real quick, interest is annualized. Penalty, you hear the word penalty, it's going to be a flat rate. So in the example of 12%, if they redeem in month 1, it's 5%. If they redeem in month 2, it's 5%. It's not compounding. It needs to make 10%, it's still just 5%. Okay? If they redeem in month 5, it's still 5%. It's the minute that you pass the 5th month, and now you're in month 6, you're beyond the 5% surplus, so now you will be making 6%. At 5%. I'll show you what the law states on this, so you guys have. So what happens here is, let's say the homeowner comes in and redeems this lien. All right, you have a family member that helps them out, whoever, they're like, hey, I need to get my property tax off this. They get a loan from the bank, however, we don't care. So what happens is the homeowner's going to call the county, they're going to say, hey, I got this tax, and they have the money for it. Well, they have to bring their money plus the interest owed and the penalties and fees that are owed to the county. So what the county's going to do is they're going to look up your certificate. Okay? When you guys register on these county auctions, you're going to get what's called a registered bidder number. That bidder number is going to be tied to the parcel or the certificate number. All this is tracked. So what they're going to do is they're going to look at that parcel number, they're going to see who owns the certificate, what bidder number. Then they're going to calculate that cost to that homeowner. They're going to say, you owe this much money. So when that homeowner brings all that money to the county is able to remove the lien, your certificate disappears, and all of your money comes back to you, including the interest in this and the over there. Everything happens.
You still get paid.
Nothing happens. I'm still making 18% of profit. You know what's interesting about Florida? There's a hurricane that passes through there like every year because it's called hurricane season for a reason. You know what's crazy is when the hurricane destroys all the houses, guess what people do there?
They go broke.
Isn't that crazy? They just stay. They're like, oh, well, they're all next year. It's the craziest thing. It's like Okies, people that live in Oklahoma with tornadoes. House is wiped away. If you build a house in the same part. Isn't that the craziest thing? So guess what happens to the liens that I have right now in Florida that are 18%?
It stay the same.
They're still making 18%. The only time my lien will be downgraded, I should say, or reevaluated is if the county actually goes in and reassesses the lien. There's how many times that happens?
Once a year?
Close to
No,
never.
write it down. Write it down.
Close to never.
Write it down.
Guess what happens if the county goes bankrupt, get their local liens? Guess what happens if the county files bankruptcy? Nothing. Because the larger county on the outskirts that takes over that little county, so first responders can still respond there, and they still have their services, they have to still guarantee my lien at the rate that I don't have. Guess how safe your money is in a tax lien versus stocks?
90%.
1,000 times. Because when an influencer decides to do something stupid, like Elon, who tried to smoke weed on Joe Rogan's podcast. If any of you ever smoked weed, you know he didn't with it. Okay? So he goes on Joe Rogan, tries to smoke weed, Tesla. Millions of dollars drop that thing. Okay? Cristiano Ronaldo, soccer player? Yeah. He had a press conference that was hosted by Coca-Cola. He moved the Coke to the side, said Coke bad, clocked the water off, said water good. Guess what happened to Coca-Cola in 24 hours?
Went down.
Lost $2 billion.
Wow.
Guess what happened to my taxes when Cristiano said Coke bad?
Nothing.
And Elon decided to
Smoke weed.
guess what happened to my taxes?
Stay the same.
So this is what Brian Peter said in his advertisement, if I said this class, why aren't you investing in taxes?
Because no education.
Backed by real property, mandated by state law. Isn't that crazy? How many of you guys want to put your money in taxes? Yeah. So this strategy, no outstanding taxes, homestead exemption, mortgage, local years that have sold and that they have redeemed. Because what does that tell you about that homeowner?
He's not gonna lose his house.
What's that?
He's not gonna lose his house.
Why?
He doesn't wanna lose his house.
Why? What's telling you that?
He don't wanna be homeless.
He keeps redeeming, right? You look at the pattern of behavior. I'm gonna show you an example of this, where it shows sold, redeemed, sold, redeemed, sold, redeemed, sold, redeemed, and then there's 2 years of sold, and another year that's now about to be sold. The pattern of behavior there is, well, I'm gonna buy it, this dude's gonna redeem it. And then there's others where it's like, sold, 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 nobody's redeemed, and the lien holders haven't foreclosed, so I'm gonna buy it with an opportunity to try to foreclose. So there's all these different strategies, depending on what your goals are, and what type of money that you're trying to make.
Just my first question, what if you made it or have the money for that next year?
Comes up, they didn't pay next year, right? So the question is, yeah, so the question is, just so I can repeat it, everybody else that didn't hear it. You buy 2023's lien, now we get into 2025, and the 2024 lien is now being sold. Do you have to buy that lien? Is that a question?
Oh, well, do you just automatically get to, or are you gonna be in competition with
Yeah.
somebody else, and it's gonna be a first and a second?
So that's called a first right of refusal. So you're asking if the county will give you first right of refusal for the consecutive years once you buy the first one? Not all counties. Colorado does. So if you want first right of refusal, go to Colorado. They are. New Jersey, they are as well, but not all the states. You buy a lien in Florida, Indiana, Arizona, you do not get first right of refusal. So you just hold on to your lien, then you can participate in the next year's lien and try to get the other one as well. If you don't, then you still have yours. And you're still 1 year marinated, whereas that person that buys that next year just has a year, right? So you're still in a higher position because you have what we call a marinated or controlling year. So the only year that is able to file a foreclosure on a lien is one that is in the controlling event. Okay? Don't stress. I promise if you fail, I won't kick you out.
Bless you.
Just mark it on the sheet we turned in.
So I'm giving you 9. In your phase 1 training modules, you have a whole glossary of all the common key terms that we essentially utilize this. Okay? I am going to go over over-the-counter as well, OTCs. These terms, a lot of them are terms that we as investors use in this industry. That does not mean that the counties utilize the same terms. So for example, you will not come here to Texas, you won't go to an auction here in Texas and look for over-the-counter. They're not listed that way. They're listed as struck off. Struck, like a strike, struck off. In Indiana, it's not over the counter, it's county commissioner. In California, it's not over the counter, it's resale. So like OTC or over the counter, that's a term that we use, right? So we're talking about all these key terms here right now. So the first one that we've been talking about is this tax lien, okay? tax lien by definition or term wise is a claim against the property which affects the ability to transfer ownership. Okay? It affects the ability to transfer that ownership. So what this means is, whoever owns that property cannot exchange that property to somebody else or something else without you being paid first. Okay? Your lien is secured. A federal tax lien, these property taxes are also known as federal tax liens. These have what's called a superior position versus a junior position. How many of you have ever heard the term first lien, second lien position?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the most common, like banks on a mortgage has first lien position, you have second lien position on the property. What that really is saying is who's in superior position. So property taxes or a tax lien is really known as a superior lien. If you foreclose on a tax lien, it wipes all the other liens out. So when we foreclose on a property that, let's say, has other outstanding tax liens owned by other outstanding investors, it doesn't wipe those out. You have to pay those. That's called a roller cost. And I'm gonna go over that here in a second. Okay, so tax lien, the claim against the property which affects the ability to transfer ownership. Primary market. We all bid and participate in the primary market against other institutions, businesses, and or investors. Okay, so primary market is where we play. Okay? Primary market. So you're gonna hear me say, when we go to the auctions, we're gonna look at the primary market here. That is the live auctions, online auctions that are going on for the counties. Primary. Hey, you guys heard me talk about this? TDA stands for that tax deed application. Tax deed application. This is a 1 to 2 page form on the county websites that is a foreclosure process against your lien. Okay? This is a foreclosure process. It's called tax deed application. There is a web portal that you can use or utilize, and so a lot of counties utilize this web portal to host their auctions called realauction.com. In the realauction.com, it actually says real TDA. So liens that you have that are like redemption ready or foreclosure ready, you'll go into the tab real TDA and you'll file the TDA there on that website against the liens that you have because we file TDA. It's all automated. Does that make sense, everybody? This isn't like something where you pull out or print out a bunch of forms and you have to step by step go through every single one. In judicial states, states that utilize attorneys, they're a non-escrow state, it's a judicial state. The attorneys that work with the counties will fill this form out for you. To file a TDA, there is a fee to pay for that TDA. So let's go to roll-up costs. Okay, we're going to spend a couple of seconds here for roll-up. So roll-up costs, all of the back taxes on the property, including the interest owed. So what this means, let's say you own 2020 taxes, okay? Somebody else purchased 2021 taxes. Somebody else purchased 2022 taxes. And somebody else purchased 2023 taxes. You have the right to foreclose because you hold what's called a controlling year. You guys tracking with me so far? Yeah. Okay. So you're going to go and file your TDA with the county to foreclose on your lien. You're going to pay a fee to pay that fee to file that TDA. It can be anywhere between $150 to $500. Okay? Part of filing that TDA, the county's going to say, hey, there are 3 other investors that own the taxes against this property. And they have a total interest accrued of this amount. So let's say you have a $1,000 tax line, and there's 3 other investors that owe me another 3 years. So that right there is $4,000. Plus, let's say $500 for your TDA and whatever interest is owed. So let's say your all-in cost is $6,000 to file a TDA against this property, okay? $6,000. Now, in a hybrid state, which sells both liens and deeds, when you file that TDA, they're gonna send, that time you're gonna send that lien to a deed foreclosure auction. It's a second auction. You buy your lien at the first auction, now you're foreclosing, and they will hold a deed foreclosure auction. The minimum starting bid at that auction, for that property that you foreclose on, is your entire roll-up cost and your fee to file that TDA. Plus, the total amount of interest that can be paid in that state. So this is what this means. If you bought your lien at $1,000 at 10% interest, okay? You've been accruing 10% per year. Okay, the minute you file the TDA and you have to pay all the back taxes that are outstanding and all the interest owed at whatever interest they earned it at, plus your fee for the TDA, that minimum starting bid is not the 10% accruing interest that you made over the years. It now jumps to 18%. If you're in Florida. Florida pays a total of 18%. So you just increased the amount of interest earned on your property, on your lien, because you filed the TDA. Are you guys tracking with me?
Mm-hmm.
So because you took the action, you get the most money. So the opening starting bid is your all-in cost roll-up, the fee to file the TDA, plus 18% against that. Yes? On the entire roll-up. Yes. So you make the most amount of money. So this is what's gonna happen. If for whatever reason, I don't show up to that auction because I'm sick, because I show up to the deed auctions, I'm a deed investor. So let's say I don't show up to that auction to where you file a foreclosure, and nobody bids on that property. Guess who gets the property? You. If we do show up and you bid on that property, you're gonna guarantee make all of your money back, plus all your interest. And I get the property. So you gotta ask yourself, at what point do you lose?
When you don't file TDA.
You either get all of your money back plus your interest at the first starting bid, or you get the property. So if you get the property for the 40 years of back taxes, interest, and filing of the TDA, the hope is you did your due diligence and that property has a value higher than $6,000. Correct? So if you have a property, and I will show you these properties, that you can essentially grab for $5,000 to $10,000 and literally turn around and sell for $50,000 to $80,000. Vacant parcels of land. So I'm not even talking about like a house. I don't do houses anymore. I am burned out on the houses. I hate it. Okay? I will say to all of you guys, those that want to do the HGTV thing, do one by all means. But after that, I hope to show you guys a strategy where you can literally get vacant parcels of land within a neighborhood and get that thing sold before you even buy it to a developer in that neighborhood for double or triple price. Tomorrow, bless you, I'm actually gonna do live calls tomorrow, if you guys are okay with it. I'm gonna show you how I do this business from one portion of the state and how I buy property across the US and get that thing sold without a receptacle. Okay, but you can do this. There are some people, now when you flip a house, when you actually go in and renovate a property, my recommendation is do that first in your backyard. Okay? Like don't think for a second you're gonna hire some contractor across the state lines here and manage that contractor appropriately. Do I have any general contractors in the house? Any general contractors here? Yeah. So you guys hire like subcontractors, manage projects? Yeah? Okay. So you work with general contractor. I will show you tomorrow as part of building your power team, how to find them, how to vet them, how to pay them. My general contractor, who's now the lead property management for me in Illinois, he always told me this one saying. He always said, when you get a general contractors will always hire the subs, so they manage the subs, making you the investor still and not the general contractor. If you try hiring out all the subs, getting electricians, carpenters, framers, painters, all that stuff, you now become the general contractor. You're not in this room to be a general contractor. That's not where you make your money. You make your money by doing extra profit. So my general contractor always told me subcontractors are like glow sticks. You wanna snap them in half and shake and just see the light. Okay? So subcontractors, this is what my general contractor says about subcontractors. It's basically adult babysitting. And he says subcontractors are like glow sticks. You wanna snap them in half and shake them just to see if the light turns on. And I was like, that's cold, dude. But with the general contractor, the way we look at it is it's one throat to choke. Okay, that's what it is. It's all chain of authority, all chain of command. Alright, so if you guys have never flipped houses before, I do not recommend your first flip be you're here in Texas and you buy a house in Florida and flip it. You will lose money. Okay? You need to know how to manage, pay, and oversee that contractor. You have a question?
Yeah, so my question would be that, so if there's other people that they also have like the tax liens on there, what about if they pay the TDA too? And then,
It's whoever pays it first. So if another investor pays the TDA before you do, what happens to your lien?
it just gets
It's
paid?
paid,
Okay,
right? It all has to get paid. Whether you file it or somebody else files it, it's gonna get paid.
okay.
The strategy behind you guys filing for it is forcing the redemption, is that you're tired of waiting for your money being out there, and you wanna get your money back. So you file a TDA ahead of somebody else to force redemption, or force it to an auction, and get your property. Now, in a traditional lien state, this is where Tyler versus Hennepin is really changing the landscaping of tax lien sales. In a true lien state, and I will show you guys the state reference guide that we did, so you'll know what's a lien state, what's a lien state, and all this other stuff. There is no second auction. There is no second auction. You file a TDA on that property, you are basically saying the homeowner has to show up and pay. If the homeowner does not show up and pay, the court will approve the foreclosure, and you now get the property for the roll-up costs that you paid, plus the interest owed to those other investors. So just think about that for a second, okay? If you held those taxes for 2 years, and you file a TDA after 24 months, and you have to pay off 3 years, let's say, of back taxes plus interest for a property, please tell me where else in this world you're buying property that cheap? Nowhere, guys. In Illinois, the cheapest property that I can buy in Illinois was $25,000. I'm literally, like, hypothetically speaking, buying deeds in Florida that are vacant parcels of land for 5 to 10 grand. And unloading those parcels to developers between $50,000 and $80,000. Hypothetically speaking, you can get a hold of developers that'll pay you $110,000, depending on the type of parcel, on a property that you can secure in Florida for 5 or 10 grand. So just imagine, let's just say on the low side 50. Okay, that if you get it for 10, you sell it for 50, what's your overhead? 40. Okay? $40,000. Let's say that takes you 2 months. $20,000 a month. Anybody interested? Would that help you out maybe if you were the next 20 grand?
Yeah,
A month?
yes.
This is why we love real estate. Okay? This is why we like real estate.
You said, I would say, middle bid is lower profit, in the past, lien holder, the other lien holders, and the two columns bid, that's the
It's all back taxes and interest plus your TDA filing. So when you file that roll-up, when you do the TDA, you're gonna pay the roll-up costs. Part of what happens at that foundation class is when they look at liens, they will calculate for you what the potential roll-up cost would be. So you know what your all-in cost is before buying these liens. That's the whole point of it. When we get into the marketplace, you'll see how this makes a lot of sense, where we look at the assessed value, the market value of that property, and what the taxes are on that property. So that way you know, if I'm gonna hold this for 2 years, and these are the taxes on the property, and potentially somebody else can come in and buy those taxes those following years, what my all-in cost will be when I file that TDA to take that property. So that's the roll-up cost, that's 25. Yeah, I'll show you how it works. And you can tag all these properties, you'll save it to an Excel sheet that Brian's giving you. Brian Peterson, like, I hope you guys can just appreciate it, he's giving you guys basically your business startup.
Oh.
Like, just by being here this week, you guys have access to all this, okay? And so he's gonna, I'll show you all the Excel sheets, I'll show you all that stuff. One last question, I'm gonna keep